Students and families, first of all, congratulations on winning a telescope. I was at a school and a student asked me how to put the telescope together. Thought I'd throw together a quick video for you guys. I've already unboxed it and unwrapped everything, so that would be step one, but I figured you guys can handle that on your own. So to start off with, this is the telescope stand. That's where you want to start with. It will have this little rubber band keeping it sort of together, but as you start to pull it apart, that rubber band just comes right off. You won't really need that. And then you can just open this up. Now, this has extenders on it, so that way it can be taller. How you want to decide whether you want those open or not, depends on the height that you're going to be viewing from. So you might have the telescope down here because you're sitting on the ground when you're looking up, or you might have a chair like I have, in which case you might want to open these up a bit. So we'll just open these up a little bit. And then you can adjust it to make sure that right now it's leaning, but I did that one up a bit too thick. So it's also good for adjusting to get a good angle. Now, this is all connected here on this tripod, and if you unscrew this center part here, this will give you this screw here. What goes in this spot, you'll see in your kit, this round disc. And this is useful. You don't always have to have this out. This is a useful tool to leave here on your telescope, because if you're going to change lenses, this will be a good holder, because most of the time you're viewing at night, and so you don't want to drop something in the grass and now you don't know where it's at. So this will be a good spot to hold all of your different lenses that you use. All right, so next up, we have the actual telescope. Right here in the middle is the hinge point that's going to connect to here, and it has a screw on there. So if you unscrew this guy, it will reveal this socket, and we're going to reuse this screw, but this part right here is going to connect onto here. There's two little dials here on your telescope stand. This bigger knob actually rotates the top, and I'll show you once we hook this up. And then there's another one here that helps to rotate up and down. This is so that you can do little fine movements, small movements, to position something in the sky. So we'll talk about those later. What you want to do is connect this guy. You'll see that there's a spot with a hole through it. So we're just going to line up the holes of this onto there. And once the holes are lined up, then we'll take that screw that was in the telescope and thread it through, and then screw it in. Requires just a little bit of pushing, but there you go. And then right now I can rotate the telescope pretty freely. If I tighten that bolt, that should stiffen this up a bit. And so I still can rotate it, but it's a lot more secure. Now I want to show you those knobs again. So I have a couple knobs here. This is for, let's say I'm aiming my telescope at the moon. Even though it doesn't really look like it to us, the moon is constantly moving through the sky. And when you're zoomed into it, you notice it a lot more. So these knobs here are to help you slowly rotate your telescope, so you don't have to do it by hand, because your hand is shaky and it can mess things up. So this big knob turns your telescope across the sky, and then this knob here can be adjusted. It's hard to see, but it makes little up and down adjustments as well. So those you'll find useful in your nighttime viewing. It comes default, it's got the cap on. So to view, you're going to want to take that cap off to let the light in. Never use this outside during the daytime. Sun, if it's getting focused, that can produce really, really powerful light that will damage your eyes. We're going to turn this to go to the back now. Let's start here. This right here is the holder for, and you should see this other red piece in your box. And you can actually hold this one up just on its own, and you'll notice, hey, this zooms into things. You'll notice there's something a little weird. Everything's a bit upside down, a little backwards. So like when I go to the right, it looks like things are going the other way. That's just because it's mimicking what you'll see here in the telescope. It inverts the image. And so this is just helping you, what you see through here is what you're gonna get in the telescope. To get this attached, there's these 3 little bolts on this holder that you can unscrew. Just to make sure that this will fit. And then we'll tighten those up to get this guy secured. And what this guy does is it's not as much of a zoom as, say, your telescope is. But it does let you kind of pinpoint a spot in the sky. So let's say I'm using an app and I've located, hey, that bright star over there, that's actually Jupiter. I want to look at Jupiter. Well, I can use this to get me close to where I should be looking. So I can use this, and if you wear glasses, you may need to do some of your viewing without. But now I can easily look through this, and it has nice little crosshairs in it. And I can put that right on top of what I want to look at. Then when I go to look here, I know I'm close to what I want to look at. Then I can start making my fine adjustments. So this is just kind of your get me close to the area, and then I can make some fine adjustments. Very useful. Now, right now, at the end of your telescope, I'll turn it, there's a little cap. Okay, little cap piece is another example of if I don't want to lose that, I can put it on my little tray. But now this is open. Right now, it's not going to give me anything good to look at. 1, because I got the cap. But 2, it's kind of blurry because I don't actually have a lens in there. So you got a couple options for lenses. Your standard lens comes in this little container. You want to keep this nice and safe. This is your main viewing. But you see, if I'm not going to use that, he stores right in there. He's safe and sound. But I can take this guy, and this has another one of these silver knobs. And if you loosen that, then I can insert and I can tighten that silver knob again. And now it is secured in there. It's not going to slip out. And this gives you a magnification of ×2. Plus whatever the telescope is doing. So now if you were to view in there, it's dark where I'm looking, but I can point it, say, for example, outside. And so now I can kind of see there's light and color. You won't be able to see anything clearly until you start to use your focus. So this back here in the back is your focuser. And so what you want to do is just slowly rotate that until some things come into focus. So most of the time when you're trying to look at something outside, you can find the brightness and then adjust until it becomes clear. Using the moon is a good method for doing this. But so now that I've adjusted this, I can see some leaves on some trees. So pretty good. You won't typically have to come out this far, but since I'm viewing something so close, it had to come out pretty far. When you're looking up into space, it'll be a different zoom focus. Let's say you find Jupiter, you're kind of locked onto it. You can actually go from the ×2. Told you, gotta be careful with these guys. You can go from the ×2 magnification. You have a bigger lens. I believe it's marked here. Okay, so this one's ×2. So this one's just normal magnification. So if I want to zoom in even more, then I can use this guy. See, I think you pair it up with your lens. So there we go. And now this is going to be an even more magnified. I'd start with the regular to kind of get to seeing your object and then get your magnifier on there. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to pinpoint in the sky where it's at. But that could be very interesting for some planet viewing if you get into it. Couple more pieces and then we're done. You might find this piece very useful. The smallest end you can put inside and lock it. And what this is, all this is a corner mirror. So now instead of having to come to the bottom of my telescope, now I can view from the side and I can tilt it up as well. So this has a couple caps. You just take your lens, put that in. And notice now I am not having to stoop weird and low to look at it. My lens is actually pointing up, a much more natural way to view a telescope. So use that corner piece to make your viewing a lot more friendly. And then you have one more zoom as well. This is a ×14 microscope. I think you can also use it as a lens. I haven't actually tested it, but another cool thing with this, it has this clear cap on the bottom to let light in. because you can actually use this sort of like mini microscope. And so if you got enough light, like I can look and see a zoomed in view of my fingerprints. And I can actually see all those ridges. You could use it to look at leaves or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure this also works with your telescope. Haven't tested it, but I believe in the instruction manual, it tells you that. Okay, that is how you set up your telescope, plus all the other information you didn't need to know from me. But I hope you found this video helpful and have fun looking at the stars. All right, bye.